Yes, I'm a photographer. I have a lot of advertising and editorial clients, shoot for Chipotle and Starbucks and things like that. But I'm here to talk about peanut butter jelly. So I feel a little bit, we're just hearing about Ebola and some very serious matters, but we're taking it a little bit lighter now. And one project I started as a personal project about 3 years ago, and it was August. It was about to be back to school. It's time for those of you parents in the audience. It's like, oh, let's pack lunch. And I was thinking about my parents, they just did peanut butter jelly. Like every day I had peanut butter jelly. You can't do that now, there's nut allergies. So I started wondering, what do other people have? I'm a little trigger happy. What do other people have for school lunch? Sorry, guys. There we go. And that launched into this project. I did hundreds of interviews with people. I had celebrities, homeless people, age 6, age 94, 25 different countries, and just every culture I could tap into. I found someone who grew up in the circus. I found somebody who was homeschooled, and I basically asked everybody the same question. When you were a kid, what did you have for school lunch? How did you feel about it? And this is all going to be part of a book that's coming out next year called School Lunch, Unpacking Our Shared Stories. And I just wanted to share a few of the ones from that project. Here's one, Josephine Manuel. She grew up in Spanish Harlem in New York City, 1954. Her mother was a Puerto Rican immigrant, and at actual lunchtime, she and her Puerto Rican friends ate nothing, they just hung out. And then at recess, which followed lunch, all the Puerto Rican moms would come, hawk food from home, and just stand at the fence and pass it through. And she said it was a really social time for the mothers, as well as their lunch, and they would bring these homemade limber popsicles that everybody, Puerto Rican or not, wanted to come over and have. So that was interesting to hear. I'm sorry, I can't do this, there we go. Then, you think about cafeteria lunch, and a lot of us, this looks pretty familiar, the pizza, the slopped on the trays, the gloves. Coincidentally, this is the lunch of that woman's daughter. So she grew up getting a homemade Puerto Rican food, and then she went to school, and I just had the daughter of that woman had this. So, times change, but also when you think of cafeteria and you start interviewing people from different countries, it's not the same across the board. This is Marcus Samuelson, who some of you may know. He's a pretty well-known chef in New York City, and he's Ethiopian born, but he grew up in Sweden. He was born in 1971, and there's his cafeteria food. It was like, they had a fresh salad bar. That's a potato pancake with fried ham and lingonberry jam, and he loved it, and everybody loved it, and it was healthy. And he said one of the 3 main reasons he became a chef was his grandmother's cooking, the fresh ingredients in Sweden, and school lunch, because it was his first introduction to sort of how do you cook for the masses, and how do you translate something that might be delicious in your family's table, but when you have to feed the whole school, it's got to shift and it's got to change. And he had a lot to say about American school lunch, cafeteria food, and how bad it was, and that he thought, in his opinion, the school lunches in Ethiopia were better than the school lunches in America. So you get into school lunch, it's culture, it's where you were born, it's the time frame that you were born, but it's also your individual family and who you are. So I got a lot of interesting stories that were unexpected and kind of fun. This woman here grew up in Venezuela, Daniela Perez. She was born in the 80s. That's her brother that she's shoving her hand on his face. And she got a healthy lunch pack from her mom every day, but really just wanted the junk food from the cafeteria. So her brother was very cute back then, and a lot of girls had crushes on him, so she would sell pictures of her brother. That's the actual picture right there. All the sides, and she would sell the pictures and take that money to buy those her chocolate chitas, little chocolate chip cookies, Malta soda, fried cheese sticks, And her mom worked in New York and would get these fancy pencils as souvenirs, and in Venezuela, she had yellow pencils, that was it. So she'd sell those, you get more money for the junk food. So that's a story like that is kind of, the project has been fun for me because I've learned a lot about just individual cultures and a lot about school lunch, and then just quirky, fun things like this. There's about 70 stories total in the book, so there's a lot of range. And then one last one that I just wanted to include is that, that not everyone had the luxury of school lunch. George Foreman was another one that I interviewed for this book, and he talked about It's interesting, obviously, George Foreman has done fine for himself in later years, but when he was growing up, he was one of many kids. They had enough money for one meal a day. Lunch wasn't one of them. So he never had a lunch at school, but he was explaining to me how there's such pride, and even as a little kid, you have this pride. And he would find an empty paper bag at home and blow it up, and carry it to school, like, this is my lunch, because he didn't want anyone else to know that he didn't have lunch. And he would watch other kids, eating their lunch, they'd have an extra sandwich, they would throw it out, but he wouldn't ask. He'd watch the food be thrown out, he'd be really hungry, and have that pride. And so, you start thinking about social programs of universal lunch, and how important that is, because here's a kid, I'm sure he could have qualified for a free lunch program, and I asked him about that. He said, oh, there's a lot of paperwork, my mom couldn't figure it out, and he didn't get the free lunch. So he started skipping school. He would go walk to school, go back around the woods, jump in his bedroom window, go back to bed, and said, never went to school. And one of the things he said is all violence is born of hunger. So that's another interesting point I thought to consider. So yeah, look for the book next year. Yeah, thank you.